everybody.
Hey everyone,
Megan,
I'm Selena.
and this is One Hen, Two Ducks,
A Grown-Up Theater Kids podcast.
We're back with another Art Unmasked guest. This Art Unmasked series is about women in positions of power for Women's History Month. And we have Heather Washburn, who is a casting professional in New York City. She has done theater and she does film now and TV. Thank you for being with us, Heather.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell our audience a little bit about who you are, what you've done, things like that, what got you to this place in your life?
Yes. So it's always like my little fun resume thing, right? But I went to school for musical theater. Graduated what feels like years ago, or lifetimes ago, especially now
This
with
feels like
COVID.
seconds ago.
But I moved out to New York and I tried to do the acting thing for a little bit. And what I found when I was standing, on the line, watching them flip through my resume, was I was way more interested in what those conversations were. Um, what's going on, how are they choosing people, even down to like grouping of people, in callbacks and whatnot. And it was always more like what's going on here, the desire to know more about the process. And so I ended up, looking at internships. Like I didn't have a resume. I didn't know anything. And so I interviewed for the Blue Man Group for an internship, and they had me come in, and immediately I was like, oh, this is nice. Like I was finally like in an office, needed to be somewhere. Um, Loved the process behind everything. They were looking for not just Blue Men, but another smaller workshop where they needed singers and actors. And they really let me kind of take the reins, which looking back, I'm like, wow, I did a lot with that. Like, and I was just an intern and had zero idea what was going on. Um, but from there, I interviewed with Jim Carnahan. So I interned with Carnahan Casting, which is with the Roundabout theater company. So I did that for 9 months. I got to work on Machinal, which was a Broadway show, as well as Cabaret. I really did a large chunk of Cabaret. Goodness, what year was that? 2014, I think, is when it came out.
And that was the that was the revival with Alan Cumming and Naomi Watts, I believe, right?
Not Naomi Watts.
No, wait.
Michelle Williams.
Michelle Williams. Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah. And I mean, that whole experience was like, being able to go into the audition rooms and watch the dance calls and watch the auditions and, typing up the session sheets. It was all just very like, this is so cool. Everything was fast paced. And that office in particular, they were doing once at the same time. And they had Book of Mormon came out of that office with Carrie Gardner. So it was all these great projects and super talented, like-minded people. Eventually, they had to kick me out because I was working. I was there 9 months, and they were like, "It's time to learn how to, get a real job." So I worked. Go get paid. So I worked at a talent agency here in New York for almost 2 years. Those jobs are a little, I think, easier to come by, and administrative work in casting and in the agency world is very similar. So I got to see the other side of kind of what was going on with that, and I learned that I didn't love. I didn't love that side. The casting is like buyers, if you will, and an agency is like a seller. So,
Okay.
they're pushing their product, actors, right? And casting is taking a look at what the product is and then giving that to the producers, if you will. And I just didn't find it all that creative. I really like working with the product itself. You know, shows, right? So whatever show you're working on, if it's The Lion King, you know, that's you're working for The Lion King versus the agent is like, hey, take a look at these 5 kids. I think either one of these kids could be a great Simba, right? So
Right.
that's, I guess, the difference. So when a casting job at Vendor Casting opened up, I jumped. Um, so going back to The Lion King, I got to work on, you know, The Lion King for Broadway, the national tours. I got to do A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, which was such a fantastic little gem of a show, and I wish it had a bigger life. I think it was spectacular. Old school Broadway, written in the 2000s. You know, a lot of off-Broadway stuff, White Christmas, the national tour. So I was there a while. And then it was time to grow. And I had the opportunity to go work with Ellen Lewis on The Irishman. So I left my full-time job with benefits and went into the freelance casting world of film and TV.
Yeah.
And I mean, that project is just a gem to me. It's one of my most favorite projects I ever worked on. Kate Sprance and Ellen Lewis are fantastic humans. And I got to, you know, start learning how film works and, you know, how actually long and drawn out casting a movie can actually be. It's very similar to, I think, theatrical production, with how long it can take. So I did that, and then I
Well,
spent a little bit
you
of
did a lot
time.
of you did a lot of footwork for them on The Irishman of just kind of finding some characters that they needed to kind of
The
fill the cracks of
real
like the mobsters and stuff.
the real Italian guys, yes, because I also work in a cigar bar. And we have like a Frank Sinatra show every Saturday, and you know we've got these great Italian looking men that you know were in and out, and it very much was me sending text messages being like, who wants to meet Martin Scorsese's casting director? You know, and they all came in droves, and Ellen came in and was like, this place is amazing. And we started like every Saturday I was like going up to random guys being like, this is a really weird question. I know I'm your cocktail server, but also, do you want to come in and audition for Martin Scorsese's next film? And they were like,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Like a lot
Can
of
you
the times they
imagine?
thought I was like making it up because who, you know, you don't go to a bar and expect someone to come up to you and be like, want to try to be in a movie
I
with
got
De
an
Niro?
offer you can't refuse.
Exactly. And you know what is so funny? Like I had someone this past Saturday who came in an audition and he was like, Heather, what street was that office on? That was such a pretty street. Remember that time when you had me audition for Martin Scorsese? And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I
Oh.
do. I definitely do. Um, I mean, it was a hoot. Um, you know, and then really in my next big office that I've been at is Alexa Fogel's office. So I did 2 seasons of The Deuce, The Prom for Netflix. Um, so I felt like with The Prom I went full circle. You know, I went
Hmm.
from Broadway to Netflix, like for the movie musical version of it, which was super exciting in its own way. Um, and I'm working on you know some good stuff currently with them as well. Oh, and I did I just finished Hightown season 2, which is
Nice.
on Stars. So I look
Hey,
forward to that
stars.
one coming out. Yeah, I work on a lot of seedy underworld, drugs, mobsters, you name it, I do it, and I
That's
love it.
that's your niche.
I think so.
I love it. I'm gonna ask the dumb question right now. Which one's harder? Which one do you like better, theater or film casting? Do you have a favorite?
I do. I do. Yeah, I do. Um, And actually, I think it even goes deeper in that. I think I prefer TV more um,
Oh,
versus film. I love, with a television show, you get, I mean, it depends on how many episodes that you have, right? 6 to 10, if it's a mini series, what have you. But there's more scripts. It changes you might be on that project for 9 months, and you most of the time don't know what the ending is going to be either, right? So we'll get a
right,
script, every few weeks, and it's like, okay, like what's next? What happens next? So like when a viewer tunes in, and they're like, gee, what happens this week? Or I have to binge, I have to get to the next episode. It's the same for us. Like we get the script and it's like, okay, what's next? So it's always
right.
evolving, and half the time we don't know, we'll get a character, and we think it's going to be this big character, and then, later on we're like, man, that character didn't evolve too much. Or vice versa. You think you get this like small character and you're like, wow, this could be a fun role. This is great. You cast somebody who maybe
Hmm.
doesn't have that much experience because it's a smaller role, right? And then all of a sudden the creative team likes that person, they write them into more scripts, and now this person is on multiple seasons and has this awesome arc. You never know. And I think with TV, it just moves fast because you're on a production schedule, so you get the script,
Right.
you hit the ground running, and then in a few weeks, you start all over. Can make for late nights,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of jobs for actors, and we love that.
I mean, that's an incredibly kind of, stressful work environment too, to be in on the other side of that, constantly kind of sifting through people and finding availability for people and making sure that they can get in front of the right people at the right time and making sure the schedules work out. Like that's a kind of a crazy lifestyle as well. And I know we talk a lot about kind of office culture in terms of the corporate world. People want to have this kind of like fun, carefree, open, chill office culture where people feel very comfortable with where they are. And in a casting setting, it's a little bit more high paced than that. Do you feel like, and you've worked in tons of offices, do you feel like there is a place for change in some of the office culture in casting offices to kind of make it a little bit more like relaxed or a little bit more conducive to calm and creativity?
I mean, it depends. It comes from the top, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you have that boss who knows how to stay calm under pressure, the rest of the office environment is going to hopefully follow right along, right? So if the top dog starts acting erratically or crazy, that just adds an extra level of stress onto the underlings.
Right.
I think that one of my favorite things that I think learned at Jim Carnahan's office was, as an intern, it was like, uh, what can I help you with? So like if you're done, if you don't have work, and you look to your right and you see your coworker buried under paperwork and stressed out, the very first question that you can ask is, okay, what can I help you with? And I think if you've got this team can do attitude, I think that helps with office culture. I've worked in some places where it wasn't that. When you look over at your coworker, right, and they're buried under paperwork and buried under phone calls, right? Like the best thing you can do is say, "What can I help you with?" Because we are such small offices. At times there's like two, three, four people max, right? And so I think that helps create a positive work environment where everyone wants to walk in the door. It's like take a deep breath, realize that we're not actually curing cancer. We're casting,
Yeah.
we're casting something. At the end of the day, there will be an actor on set. We don't know who it is, but like, we'll get it done. It's fine. I've worked in some places that, we're a little more individual. That's your problem. You figure it out. And I much prefer
Hmm.
the teamwork kind of aspect of it. How can I help you today? Like, what
That's a
can I
good
help you with?
point. Yeah. That's a good point because I feel like a lot of times at least like maybe when I was growing up or something, thinking about what a casting office or agency office would look like, and it kind of in my brain it looks like an anthill, where there's like so many people, everyone's doing all these sorts of things, but it really is in a casting office like 4 or 5 people like taking care of a ton of projects. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of work for a small amount of people. It's really not
I mean,
a
the
ton.
Deuce, yeah, the Deuce was very much like all hands on deck. Or like,
Yeah.
I mean, the way Alexa put it one time when she was explaining the Deuce, because her associate is spectacular, and we've been working with each other, starting on the Deuce, we created like our little work system, right? But it very much is like you get like a boat that has all these holes, and you're just plugging your hands in every hole so that the boat stays afloat. Um, so I love, yes, I mean, it very much is like we're running uphill both ways and barefoot half the time, like things are thrown at us, and you just have to hope that your team is good and roll with it.